Hi, I'm Steve Wood from Manyhoo, and I'm just going to show you a little bit more of our developer tooling this time. We often show our point-and-click tooling. I just thought I'd show a little bit more about some of the developer things that we have. So when you go into our sign-in page, you've got that choice of choosing between a drag-and-drop Rebel or a dark side Jedi coder. In this case, I'm going to be a dark side Jedi coder, so I'll sign in now as one of those. Now that I'm logged into the developer tooling, you can see there's a couple of tabs. There's the JSON API tab, which actually I spoke about in another YouTube video. There's also this players tab. And a player actually represents the code that runs when you're actually using the flow. So whenever you run a flow on our platform, you're actually using a player. And that player is the thing you see. It's actually the bit that allows you to interact with the flow. Because our service fundamentally is all just APIs, and clearly as an end user it'd be very difficult to interact directly with an API. That's not going to be very easy. So we created these players that basically interpret the objects and information and metadata coming from our APIs and then render it for the user. And there's more information on that on our architecture section of our website. But effectively we have these players. And these players are available for you to use. But equally, the players are shared source, which means that if you want to take one of our players and adapt it, you can. So the closest analogy is to think about web content management. If you install WordPress, you get your standard templates with WordPress so you can build your website. But chances are you're going to want to take one of those templates or maybe get a template from somebody else to actually really make the website your own. And a player is a very similar concept. We provide a standard player with a kind of a nice branded look and feel, or sort of generic look and feel, and you can take that and turn it into your own. And the easiest way to work with players is actually through our little developer tool here. So I'll show you the default player. This cannot be changed. This is the one that we have, that is the one that we run all of our apps through. And all the code for the player is here. And you can have a look through that and see how that works. But equally, if you wanted to create a new player, all you need to do is just change the name to something else, like my player, and then hit save. And that will create a new player for you that is available at that hyperlink. And I'll come back to that in a second. So once you've got this new player, we can actually change the code and we can manipulate it and add our own things. We may want to reference different libraries. We may not be interested in having all of the facilities that we have in our standard player. So that's the code on the Manyhoo side. So effectively the player gives you a shell web page to host all of your JavaScript files from the Manyhoo domain. Now if I go over to GitHub and I'll just have a look at the Manyhoo repository, you'll see we've actually included the Manyhoo HTML5 players repository as a public repository that you can use. So if you go in there, feel free to clone it and bring it down. And this actually contains the code that we use ourselves. So we're sharing that source code with you so you can have a look at how we've built the players and you can take that and make it your own. You can use ours absolutely without any problem, but if you want to make it your own, you're absolutely free to take the code and make it your own. And we have a shared source license that you can look at also on our website, which just basically says if you're using the code, please use it with our service and not with somebody else's. So that gives you a sense of the players. But let me go back to the player that we created. So we loaded the default player and then we used that as a template and then we saved it as this my player. Now I'm going to make a very, very subtle change to the player. I'm just going to add a little h1 tag just to say hello world. And what this means is that when we're running a flow, all of the flows will have this hello world written at the top of it. So I'll just hit save. Now let me go back to the design tool and I'll show you how you can run that player to see it working. So if you've watched any of our other videos that we just pushed out, you'll recognize this flow as a little mortgage application that we did. So I'm going to run this application and then I'll run it under a different player. So first thing I'll do is run it. And we can see the code running up in the standard player. So this is the code that we have open sourced and made available to you running right here. So if you want to understand how this works, just have a look at the GitHub repository, pull the code down, and you can have a look. That is exactly the code that we're running. There's nothing different between what we're running and what we're giving you. But I'm just going to take that link and I'm going to paste it into a separate window. What you'll notice in the link is we have this here where it says play and then default. And in here, I'm just going to change that to our new player name. So here we had my player, so I'll grab that, and I will now put the request through to my player, and then hit go. So now you can see we're running through our new player, and you can see that hello world appears at the top. So this gives you a sense of how you can create your own branded experience using whatever frameworks you'd like to use to deliver applications to your end customer. Thank you.